I worked as a park ranger in the vast wilderness of Alaska, a place of breathtaking beauty and unforgiving nature. It was a job that required me to be in touch with both the breathtaking landscapes and the challenges they presented. But nothing could have prepared me for the chilling encounters that awaited me in the heart of that wild expanse. The days were long and often isolated, spent patrolling the remote corners of the park, checking on wildlife and ensuring the safety of visitors. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the landscape transformed into an eerie realm where shadows danced and the trees whispered secrets that sent shivers down my spine. One night, as I sat by the fire in my cabin, a strange sensation settled over me. It was as though the air had grown heavy with an unsettling energy, a presence that lingered just beyond the edges of my perception. I tried to shake off the feeling, attributing it to the isolation and the wild imagination that often accompanies solitude. But then, the forest came alive with an otherworldly sound, a symphony of eerie cries and whispers that seemed to echo from all directions. My heart raced as I stepped outside, my flashlight cutting through the darkness. I scanned the trees, my senses on high alert, but I saw nothing. Only the vast expanse of the wilderness, cloaked in shadows. The cries grew louder, more intense, their source impossible to pinpoint. It was as though the very air itself was alive with an unseen presence. My instincts told me to retreat to the safety of my cabin, to lock myself in and wait for dawn, but a stubborn curiosity kept me rooted in place. I ventured deeper into the woods, my flashlight illuminating the path before me. The cries seemed to follow, growing louder and more chaotic, filling my ears with a cacophony of sound that was both mesmerizing and terrifying. And then, as if out of thin air, they ceased. I stood in the darkness, my heart pounding, my breath ragged. And then, a rustling sound caught my attention. I turned towards it, the beam of my flashlight revealing something that sent a jolt of pure fear through my veins. In the glow of the light, I saw figures, tall, emaciated shapes that seemed to shift and writhe in the darkness. Their limbs were elongated, their movements unnatural and unsettling. Their eyes glowed with an eerie light, fixated on me with an intensity that sent a wave of dread washing over me. Frozen in place, I watched as they moved closer, their steps deliberate and haunting. Their forms seemed to shift and blend with the shadows, making it difficult to discern where their bodies ended and the darkness began. My mind raced, trying to process the sight before me, trying to make sense of the inhuman figures that seemed to defy reality. As they encircled me, their whispers filled the air, a chorus of voices that echoed in my mind. Their language was incomprehensible, a jumble of sounds that carried with them a sense of malevolence. I felt a deep sense of unease, as though their very presence was a threat to my sanity. I knew I had to escape, to retreat back to the safety of my cabin, but my legs felt like lead, my body paralyzed by a mixture of fear and fascination. The figures drew closer, their outstretched hands reaching towards me, their touch cold and clammy against my skin. With a surge of adrenaline, I finally managed to break free from their grasp. I turned and ran, my heart pounding, my breath coming in ragged gasps. The forest seemed to close in around me, the trees looming like sinister sentinels, as if the very wilderness itself had turned against me. I burst through the door of my cabin, slamming it shut behind me, my breath coming in desperate sobs. I locked the door, my hands trembling as I tried to process the horrifying encounter. The cries and whispers continued outside, a haunting reminder of the inhuman entities that lurked in the darkness. As the night wore on, I sat in my cabin, my mind racing with a mix of fear and confusion. What had I witnessed? What were those inhuman figures that had seemingly emerged from the depths of the wilderness? With the first light of dawn, the cries ceased, and a sense of relief washed over me. But the memory of that night would forever haunt me. A reminder that there are forces in the world that defy explanation, that the wilderness holds secrets beyond our comprehension. I left my position as a park ranger shortly after that night, unable to shake the feeling that I was no longer alone in the wilderness. The memory of the inhuman figures and their haunting cries would stay with me, a chilling reminder that there are things lurking in the vast expanse of the wild that we may never fully understand, and that the line between the known and the unknown is far more fragile than we'd like to believe. Years have passed since that harrowing night, and I find myself drawn back to the memories of that encounter. I've researched ancient legends and local folklore, seeking any hint of an explanation for what I witnessed. Some say that the wilderness is a realm where the barriers between our world and other dimensions are thin, where creatures that defy our understanding may roam freely. I can't help but wonder if those inhuman figures were beings from another realm, drawn to the wilds of Alaska by forces beyond our comprehension. The memory of their presence lingers like a ghost, a reminder that the natural world is not always as it seems, and that the depths of the wilderness hold secrets that may forever elude our understanding. My departure from the park ranger position didn't put an end to my fascination with the mysteries of the wilderness. Instead, it fueled a relentless curiosity that drove me to delve deeper into the unknown. I became obsessed with uncovering the truth behind those inhuman figures, determined to understand the forces that had brought them into our world. I spent years researching ancient texts, delving into the archives of local legends, and seeking out individuals who claimed to have encountered similar entities. Along the way, I encountered stories that sent shivers down my spine. Tales of shadowy beings that had haunted the outskirts of civilization for centuries, whispered warnings of the dangers that lurked beyond the edges of our understanding. One such encounter led me to an old woman, a recluse who lived on the fringes of a remote village. She had lived her life in the wilderness, away from the trappings of modern society, and claimed to have witnessed the inhuman figures that I had encountered. Her eyes were clouded with a mix of fear and wisdom as she recounted her experiences, her voice quivering as she spoke of the nights when the forest would come alive with their eerie cries. "They're ancient, you know," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Beings from a time long before ours, when the world was wild and untamed. They've watched over these lands for millennia, and their presence is a reminder that there are realms beyond our own that we can never truly comprehend." Her words resonated with me, confirming the suspicions I had been harboring. The inhuman figures were not mere apparitions. They were guardians of a realm that existed on the fringes of our reality, beings that had existed long before humanity had set foot on this earth. As the years went by, my obsession deepened, and I found myself drawn back to Alaska, to the very place where I had first encountered the inhuman figures. Armed with knowledge and determination, I embarked on a journey into the heart of the wilderness, driven by a need to confront the enigma that had haunted me for so long. The forest welcomed me with its familiar, eerie whispers, the wind carrying echoes of those chilling cries. I ventured deeper, my steps guided by a sense of purpose that transcended fear. It was as though the wilderness itself was leading me, guiding me towards the truth that had eluded me for so long. And then, I saw them once again, those inhuman figures emerging from the shadows as if summoned by my presence. Their forms were just as unsettling as I remembered, their eyes glowing with a malevolent light. But this time, there was no fear within me, only a strange sense of recognition. I stood before them, unafraid, my heart pounding with a mixture of trepidation and awe. The figures moved closer, their whispers now familiar, their language a haunting melody that seemed to transcend the boundaries of human comprehension. And then, in a moment that felt like an eternity, they reached out towards me, their cold fingers brushing against my skin. A rush of images flooded my mind, visions of ancient landscapes, of a world untouched by human hands, of a time when the boundaries between dimensions were fluid and malleable. I saw them as they once were, guardians of the wilds, protectors of a realm that existed beyond the realm of mortals. And then, as quickly as the visions had come, they faded, leaving me standing before the inhuman figures, a newfound understanding settling within me. They were not creatures to be feared, but beings of immense power and knowledge, connected to a reality that most could never comprehend. As the figures began to retreat, their whispers fading into the wind, I felt a sense of gratitude towards them, for showing me a glimpse of a world beyond our understanding, for reminding me that the mysteries of the universe are vast and complex, and that the natural world is a tapestry of secrets waiting to be unraveled. I left the wilderness that day with a renewed sense of purpose. I continued my research, not to conquer or control the mysteries I had encountered, but to embrace them, to learn from them. I knew that the inhuman figures were not to be tamed or explained away. They were a part of a greater whole, a reminder that there are realms beyond our perception waiting to be explored. And so I became a seeker of the unknown, a wanderer of the wilds, venturing into the untouched corners of the world in search of answers and understanding. The memory of those inhuman figures still haunts my thoughts, a reminder of the boundless possibilities that exist beyond the boundaries of our reality. And as I traverse the wild landscapes, I am humbled by the knowledge that there are forces in this world that defy explanation, and that the journey to uncovering their secrets is a journey that will never truly end.